Yes. Thank you.
Don't have.
Oh, my God. That's charged.
Who's tired of paying?
Yeah. It's a government.
Okay, we good?
Tiger Man, his name's underneath.
It's Tiger.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome everyone to this initial meeting of the effort to create a Kiwanis Park master plan. This is a subcommittee of the Parks and Recreation Commission, of which I'm a member, and so is Tim Hunt over here, and so is Nate Green, and this is John Howe, who's the head of the Parks and Recreation Department. And then I want to go around the room and ask for introductions. I guess we'll start off doing that right now, starting with first and foremost, my namesake.
Well, I'm the other Keith, I'm Keith Simpson. And, you know, I'm a landscape architect here in town. Ready?
They was the 27-year plus neighbor in Kiwanis Park with about 900 feet footage directly into Kiwanis
Okay,
Park.
just what names?
Peter Hanson, 81 Marvin Ridge Road since 1964.
Kathy Mitchell, 70 Marvin Ridge Road since 1978.
Angela Simone, 69 Old Norwalk Road since 1998. Bill Pollock, landscape architect. I work with Keith Simpson.
Lisa Creighton, so I'm in Willowbrook Lane at 45 Willowbrook. Also been working at the community garden in Kiwanis, so some of you may have seen my name.
Margaret Riley, Executive Director of the YMCA and 84 Marvin Ridge Road since 1998. Lauren Motley, I'm 43 Marvin Ridge Road.
Mary Grace Dumas, member of the King Girl Scouts, particularly the Mary B. Cabin Committee.
Kathy Townsend, 34 White Oak Shaver Road since 92, also a member of the Mary B. Cabin Committee.
Okay, on the commission. Okay, welcome again, all of you. I sent you all a copy of the agenda, but I want you all to understand that I have no intention of trying to cover everything on that agenda in this introductory meeting. It's just meant to be aspirational. Everything on there you are going to get to, and we're going to get to the bottom. But then our main objective, as we're going to get to, will be develop a master plan, and we'll talk about that. So as I said earlier, this will be the first meeting of many. It's mostly for introductions, general discussion or objectives, setting the timetable for future meetings, how often they will be, and what day and time. And maybe proposing milestones and talking again about the final deadline for what we hope to at the end of this process. All potential users of Kiwanis participating today are going to be asked to put down in writing your aspirations for Kiwanis Park and for this set of meetings. Okay, so you don't need to talk about it very much at this meeting, but we want, and maybe Keith, you want to say, because you've dealt with this before, so 1 or 2 or 3 sentences.
Yes, yeah, if you could say what's high on your agenda and prioritize some of it, we'd like to get into everything that you feel is a top priority, and then I'd like to get as many other things as possible. I know it'll be a dialogue, but we would love, and it really helps if this is writing, because I know when we talk about things, we hope to remember what you said, but having it in writing is a huge, huge help. I appreciate it.
Right. This meeting will be, was intended to be no longer than until 2:30. And luckily to have John's time, because I mentioned he may have to back out a little early, so I'm sorry it started a little late, but I still think there should be plenty of time for us to accomplish our limited objective for this meeting. Okay, having said all that, again, our objective which has been handed to us by the Board of Selectmen, is to create some sort of master plan for Kiwanis Park. And I think I'm gonna turn this over a little bit to the master of master plan, our friend Keith Simpson, who has done this not only before Rover Parks, but also for Kiwanis Park. So tell us, in your experience, you know, what should be, I've seen and I've asked around these examples of these previous things that have been dubbed master plans, which seems to be mostly a map of something with a lot of notes about, let's do this here, and let's do that there, and let's do this here. Is that what you see us doing here? Is that your concept of a master plan?
Yeah, I think so, and, you know, using Bristol, which is a really good current example, I think, for everybody, if we put together, Bill and I built this master plan. We really, the process was really one of us getting to know the property really well. I can tell you that I do remember something of Kiwanis, but it was back in '85 when I did it before. But, so our professional objective will be to understand not only the park territory itself and get from the town or whatever accurate survey information up to date stuff, but then we start feeding into it what we believe to be the program. We get an idea of it. The more you tell us about the program, the much better chance there is of us getting it right, you know, sooner rather than later. But the program includes not only what everybody would like to see going on there, at which point the whole place might be overloaded, but we also do really actually want to hear what some people don't want to be having happen. Kiwanis has been, you know, a quieter park for decades. And so I think people who live in the neighborhood have been used to it being a quieter park. So we want that to be able to continue to the maximum extent possible. But on the other hand, I'm hearing that it is a town park and it's underutilized as such. And we all know the fast pace of change in the recreation area, well as the park area, pickleball wasn't around back then, a whole lot of other stuff wasn't around back then. So we want to know what people would like to see in there, and also what people would like us to not have going on in there too much. So, and then when we've got all that, then we will produce the master plan, which will have all these. It won't just be, oh, here it is, take it or leave it. It'll have our reasoning on it, which is all this arrows in there, we put out, and we suggested this because of this and because of that. So there's a plan which we expect, people will say, like, more of this should be sooner, this can be later. And usually these things get phased in, but that's usually the master plan process.
Thank you. I'm gonna sort of move on between bullets 3 and 4. I regard Kiwanis Park, which I go to all the time. I'm earlier today, I walk my dogs there. I mean, the cleaning club, but I spent about a good 6 weeks every year down there and have been for 30 years. So I know this park pretty well. And what separates it from some of the other parks and it is really you. There are so many constituencies that activities that need to be represented when we talk about Kiwanis Park. It's like no other park. You have the Girl Scout, not only the Mary Bee, but you've got all your activities there, and the pavilion and things. And you've got the YMCA with their summer camp. You've got the community garden that we're trying to get in there. We have and I don't know what we want to call it, John, the pond or the beach. You know, I don't, what do we should really come up with a name. So when we talk about, it used to be the gravel pit.
Terminology is really important, actually, it really is.
Well, yeah, we should have some agreed nomenclature for this, I guess, because
I don't like swimming.
and you know, and you know, kids were there, we call it the New Caney Beach. That's kind of a kiddie thing. Other people would call it the pond. Does anybody have any ideas of thought, Betty?
Kiwanis Beach.
Well, we don't need the Kiwanis, because everything we're gonna talk about, Kiwanis, so we just need the beach. The beach, we talking about?
The beach is better than home, yeah.
Okay, we'll go with beach.
And please don't name it after, don't sell the naming rights.
Yeah.
Please.
We don't have to that.
It's the beach, and then the building that's in front of the beach, we call the pavilion. Okay.
Yes.
That's the building that has the bathrooms in it, and, you know, it's kind of the gateway. And then there is the playground. So again, all these other things that kind of need to be represented, in this new harbor. So, where I was getting to, who else, if anyone, do we think should be represented in this group? I think I tried to reach out to everyone. I think, and I thank you all for being so flexible and being able to attend.
Is it preschool? Okay.
Well, so let's talk about preschool.
The preschool, I believe, has a 100-year lease, and I think they've got a lot of years to go. So I don't think any of us will be around.
Yeah, so I want to get a copy of that, but assuming that that's correct, and I think it is, then we can't touch it, is the point.
So even though it's part of the parcel,
Oh, actually, so 100 years at least, of the building on the top.
of their grounds, actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Should they have, won't they have some opinions of what's happening, that who's coming in and out, the hours they're coming in and out?
Yeah, I can find, reach out to someone there to see if they want to. But they might like it, about parking, they want to, they know, when they go by there, they all park, and you go into the spot, right? That's a good idea, okay.
Just seconding that, I mean, I think both the administration of the preschool would be interested, and then you may have parents that want to be interested too, if their children are there and are outside and there's gonna be particular uses of that park during school hours, I think they would be interested. Not to open it up to all parents, but I would definitely involve that preschool.
Okay, that's great, unless someone here knows someone, one of the parents involved in that, do you know someone, Betty?
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, we send me the contact information, that would be great. Okay, so let's talk about, kind of the timeline and the next meeting. So normally for a group like this, we would meet once a month. And have meetings, that would be an hour in length. And that's what I'm proposing. I think these Thursday afternoons, I know I have a little conflict, and I've talked to some other people who have conflicts. So let's talk about, but it needs to be during the day, right? In the afternoon.
During the
Yeah, right, okay, and you have a preference of, 1, 2, or 3 in the afternoon, or 4?
They're really better, just general.
Yeah, so the people, I mean, please, raise your hand, but let's talk about, what time.
I like 1 o'clock.
Mm.
1 o'clock, well, first thing in the morning, be better for some people.
Mornings if possible. I have young kids in school, so if we can do it before noon, that would be amazing. If not, I can zoom in.
Okay, so when we say in the morning, we're talking about 9 or 10?
Yeah, I mean, just one person giving their input for me between 9:30 and.
Um,
Keep the Zoom feature at any of them. That would be helpful for those of us who have to be remote.
I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Oh, sorry. This is Lily Groover. I've been at 53 Marvin Ridge Road for 20 years. I don't know if everybody on Zoom got to introduce themselves. So I'm sorry, 24 years. And I was hoping no matter when you do, whatever time you do your meetings, if you could still keep Zoom going, that's very appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's actually a state rule these days.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just need to be able to do it that way. And I prefer afternoons, just so anybody, other than that, that's my 2 cents from the Zoom gallery.
We will always try to Zoom whether or not we achieve it. I'm not saying. Anyone, I don't want to have thoughts, but have strong preferences for the morning or afternoon.
Yeah, I just wanted to say 1 o'clock is fine, and just to see what availability is. Monday's okay for me, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday gets, busy, especially if people leave town. The long weekend, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, works out for me if it's a conflict.
So
Thursday and Friday midday are never good for me.
Midday.
Midday, anything like from 12 to 2 or something, Thursday and Fridays is usually, taken out.
Yeah, so you would prefer like a 2 o'clock in the
Yeah,
afternoon?
2 o'clock in the afternoon is fine, or in the morning, too, yeah.
Or in the morning. Okay, could we do, say, 9 in the morning on Thursdays or 9 on Wednesdays? Can I float that? So I'll float those two proposals. 9 in the morning on Wednesdays, let's say today is what, about the 4th Wednesday? So let's say the 3rd or 4th Wednesday at 9 AM. So would that work for people? Or anybody who won't work for raise your hand?
I can't do mornings, so.
That's 2.
And you mean Wednesday, not Thursday, right?
Yeah, this is just Wednesday,
Yeah.
right?
Anytime afternoon, 12 o'clock would be best, but I thought someone else said that too.
But that's three events, and that was 9 AM Wednesday. Let's try 9 AM Thursday. Does it change how many people cannot make it? One? Only one.
You'll never find time for this. Depends on.
Okay, so I'm thinking 9 AM Thursday looks pretty good.
Oh, not for me.
Oh, not,
Every day it changes as to when I can make
okay, so
my schedule.
Yeah, mornings aren't good for me either. Can we maybe alternate between mornings and afternoons and evenings?
yeah, well, okay, so John told me the recordings of the meetings will be available after the meetings are done. And by the way, we'll put out formal minutes of every meeting.
Right, but I'd like to participate. So if you could rotate between mornings, afternoons and evenings to accommodate everybody. I don't know if we're getting our hands up here on Zoom counted. I know you're counting the votes in there on what works, but if you could count us too, that would be great.
Well, I just have to address that. It's very difficult to keep changing the meeting. For most of us, you put a meeting down and you hit the repeat button, and so it's coming up on your calendar. But, you know, so I generally wanna, if I'm running the committee, set a meeting, and if you can make it, great, and if you can't, you know, no one's attendance is required here. If there's any input you wanna make, you can do it ahead of time by telling some other person who will be attending, or send it to me in writing. Or do it after the fact when we're going through the minutes. So, you know, we don't wanna have the tail wagging the dog here. If we have everybody who can make it, other than 2, at 9 AM on Thursdays, I think that sounds pretty good.
Can I make a suggestion? In Lakeland, the Park and Rec meeting meets once a month on a Wednesday, starting at 7. And that's recorded down here too, and sometimes there's, people from the media, which I'm sending them here. What if you have this meeting 1 hour before that?
There's already a fireworks meeting that's scheduled almost every month during that.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think for some people meeting, after work, when they're having family, or getting dinner ready for the kids and have other
you
obligations.
know, I just thought it would be easy, that way most of these
Right.
people just said things.
Yeah. This is an informal thing. You know, you're not on the commission here, you're not, you know, so. Let's go with 9 AM Thursday, then on 1 hour meetings. We'll have them try to have them all by Zoom. And now, if we have that date, is there anybody who has a preference for what Thursday we'd be talking about? First Thursday, the second Thursday, the third Thursday, the fourth Thursday? If we were going to do the one for today, we say the 4th Thursday, but it occurs to me, sometimes you can start running into Christmas and Thanksgiving, when we start saying the 4th Thursday. So I'm wondering if maybe we want to say the 3rd or 2nd Thursday.
Well, I was going to say, Mike Diamond, who came tonight,
Kind of
has.
blurred out.
Has a,
His coffee,
8:30, yeah, to 12, 9:30 every Thursday, the first Thursday. in the library. So his attendance is about 75 people that attend.
Did you say every Thursday?
No, first Thursday.
Yeah, the first of every month.
So we don't have it the first. So I would say the second or third Thursday.
I think that's the second.
Second? Okay, second Thursday. Okay.
I made this a June month, on that, the world, and
Yeah, and that's fine. So what I will do, and I'm informing you, I will do a Google Calendar invitation for that hour. I'll invite everybody who gave me their email address. That's the danger they always say, if you give your email address to strangers. And if you accept, that will then appear every month on your calendars. We won't have a location yet unless John, you can come with.
Well, we can do it here, but I personally don't really like our setup. That's the
Yeah.
only problem. So, it might be easier if we try to do it at town.
I agree.
Okay, I just have to check with them for schedule.
Yeah, I agree, town hall would be, because I was gonna say, Lapham, which would be another go-to location, they're probably packed.
Yep. So, I'll get back to you.
Okay. Okay, so just repeat for our note takers, the second Thursdays, 9 to 10. And location to be determined.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and that would make it much easier to do the zooming.
To send us an email.
Oh, yeah, so,
You can send it to me.
people that are zoomed in, if you would email either me or John, your, just any kind of email, so we have your email address. If you want to be on future correspondence, please do that.
The other thing you can always do is you can sign up with the town and get alerts of whenever meetings like this are posted, and they'll send you the link to the agenda, etc.
Can you give us your email address again for that, where you would like that sent?
I'll give you what mine is, it's pretty easy, it's the digit 1.
Uh-huh.
And then KeithRichey@gmail.com. And that's KEITHRICHEY.
T-Y, okay. Oh, T-I? Okay.
KEITH and then RICHEY, no periods in between, simple.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, let's talk a little bit about, milestones. I mean, we know at the end of the day, I think, after hearing what Pete Simpson said, we want to have kind of one of these big maps with a bunch of, notes about what we want. As a lawyer, I'm kind of, more of the rigor. I would have like also maybe back, a document that says, here's the master plan, and here's what our thinking was, and here's the attachment, which would be something like this. I think one of the milestones would be simply having an updated version of the graphic, the map. Okay, and then when we kind of come along with kind of lead each of your kind of what your aspirations are. That'll be a while, so hopefully we'll cover that milestone in the next meeting, but I suspect there may be a few changes in that process. We don't have a time, or I should say a deadline, in the sense that there's nothing that's going on here, and then that's one thing I really want to get across. There's nothing imminent happening for Kiwanis, there's no one who has an agenda for change. I am certainly Tabula Rasa, empty slate, we'll see where this takes us. So there's no urgency, by the way, the Board of Selectmen said there's no money this year. Okay, so, we want to come up with a master plan that's good, that we will all be happy to live with. And then that will go into the budgetary process, which will start next year, and then we probably will see anything over to maybe the year after that. So it's a little bit of, just, take it easy here, this Nothing happened to keep that.
Before we go through the town, what constitutes agreement in terms of the amount?
I think we'll have to have, there'll be one to get it out of the subcommittee meeting. We want to have at least, what I'll say, 50, more than the majority, but I would say really more than 60 or 70 or 80%. I want to see approval of it before it would leave this subcommittee. But then it has to go to the department, it has to go to the commission, the Parks and Rec Commission, and then they would bump it up, to Board of Selectmen, eventually has to go to the Board of Finance. I mean, there's many steps, and we're gonna work through New Canaan government. So, but the first week, just to get it out of this subcommission, I would want to see a really solid majority supporting line. Okay, that doesn't mean we won't be giving updates to the Parks and Rec Commission and.
Hi, Hugh.
Nothing final is gonna go out. Really, everyone here having a good say in it. If you're still participating when it comes along. All right, and the resources, right here. We, as you see, there's certain tasks. We can get some of these agreements from you. That was gonna be one of my things I was gonna ask for. So the growth, and I know there may be other places where I could get it, but I'm kind of jumping down a little bit to 7 here. If the Girl Scouts could provide a copy to me of the agreement you have with the town. Yes. I know the YMCA, I probably have maybe a copy of the picture sitting in another, let's put it in one. I'll get one for the Exchange Club, make that available. We got it, but we good. Lisa, the community garden, I don't know if you have anything in writing yet. Probably just probably feel okay. And that's about it. Because we just want to make sure that whatever we do is consistent with those agreements. And if you want to have changes to agreements, that maybe we make room for that in our plan. I also think it's going to be very important to get all the neighbors' concerns and aspirations. So I think it's all fine now, but you're going to be worried, as he said, about the noise. It certainly would, our neighbor would be concerned about the lights and the evening activities, something that might generate increased use of cars and things. And we want to get that in here. So just want your concerns will be as legitimate and valuable as any one of the other constituencies represented here. The other thing I wanted to check now, we're gonna.
Do it, Polly? Touch Polly. Good.
Sorry? Okay. The other thing, and maybe you can help me, Jenna. Does anyone have a copy of the original agreement under which Kiwanis Park was given to the town?
Nobody does, but yes, we do too.
Do you have it?
Not with me,
Oh, yeah.
but what John is referring to is the original conveyance, I think it was 1946.
Yeah.
And that one is the town hall,
We can-
Okay,
town park.
okay.
It's a one-page document.
Well, okay, and maybe there's nothing in there, but as maybe some parks like Irwin Park came with a whole laundry list of covenants and restrictions about what can be done in that park.
Yeah, we're,
And what we need to, and we have to see what flexibility we have. And really, that is just about everything I have on my agenda. I'm gonna go around to see what other people wanted to get out of this initial meeting. Let me start with you, John.
Okay, the way this all started is in the budget process, we have to go look out 5 years, so we had in there to read the basketball court. And, so we had the basketball court in there, and then I would, and some other people, we'd love to have a splash pad for kids. It's, for the smaller kids, it's one of the greatest things, people love them, and
Please describe it.
So a splash pad, instead of a swimming pool, even though you run it like a swimming pool, it doesn't have, you're not going underwater and things like that, but. You see some of them, they might have the big bucket that would slowly fill up and then dump on the kids, there'd be water spraying out of the ground. There's a lot of different features that way. And for the younger kids, especially with the parents, even though I want lifeguards there.
To push it,
It works a little bit differently, since the kids aren't actually swimming and going underneath. It's really great for the young kids, which is similar to what we think of Kiwanis right now. Is that a lot of the younger families go there because the kids can easily walk in and out of the sand.
Is there one over here?
There is not one, the only feature that's even close there is what we call the mushroom. And it's just, it just sprays water down, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But these would have a lot more interactive type things. So we we asked for $50,000 to investigate putting in a splash pad at Kiwanis Park. The Board of Selectmen said with these two asks, without a plan on what you're doing, we don't want to approve it. So that's when we got to this point saying, let's do a master plan for the park. So which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So let's keep going around. Thank you, Harry.
What I'd like to know is, I'm directed to Steve, Mr. Simpson. Sorry. Month by month, how does this actually work? I know we start with our aspirations and our priorities, but how does this process really work?
Well, when we go in a room, I was expecting to say, and the process that I think would be taking is, Bill and I from my office will do an intensive site walk of the whole. And then I think after the next meeting, when you put your program in and we've got that, I hope that we could actually do a site walk between that meeting and the third meeting, between the second and third meeting together, we could do it, because by that time, I hope we will have all thought about the program, go and visit the site and sort of make observations together. And the more we all talk about our observations at that time. And then I'm just hoping that we don't get to what I heard Chairman Keith say, is to go into November and December and all the rest of it. I mean, I want our time to be efficient, and you know, we don't have unlimited, I can't do unlimited time pro bono for town. I mean, I want to do a really good job, but so we would love to hear the program. We'll do our research in town hall. We'll be getting, we know the local surveyors, we'll be getting the latest, whatever the latest data is. We got to get all that down on paper. That takes us time. We've got to get the program, get that mapped in there. But then we come back to the preliminary, and then I definitely hope we can all walk the site. And then hopefully we can refine it pretty quickly into the final master plan before Thanksgiving. At least.
Before Thanksgiving.
Oh, I would hope, you know, I mean, gosh, yes, I mean, unless, you know, the longer it goes on, the more of our time it will
Yeah,
churn, and I just don't want to go.
it's just diluted. We agree with that.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sam?
No, thank you, Mr. Senator.
Okay, Kathy?
My question was, would you repeat your email please again? And is that where you want us to send our 3 sentence of what we?
Yeah,
So if you can repeat it again, because I wasn't paying attention for the other, and then you want us to email that.
yeah, and by the way, you may already have it, because I did reach out to a lot of you. So it's the digit 1, so in other words, you know, a 1. And then KEITHRICHEY. And then at email. Memories.
You know, as McCain Girl Scouts use the Mary B. Cabin quite a bit, several meetings a week of McCain troops. So class is extremely important to us. So we would be most interested in maintaining our area as best as possible. And any additional recreational things that could be done. You mentioned even upgrading the playground is part of the thought process.
Sooner or later, it's gotta be done, right? I think the last time it was done was 15 or 20 years ago.
So, we would certainly take advantage of all of those things. One question about what is the time you want a little aspiration,
I want by the next meeting,
next meeting?
which again is the second. That would be the second Thursday.
Is that what time is it?
Yeah, so, and again, if it's not done, then have it by the meeting after that, right? But the sooner you get it in, the better, because again, we're not looking for a long essay. All right, well, thank you, Lauren.
Lauren, yeah, hi. So I think, what's my aspiration? I think right now in the town, the park is quite a dumpy little park. It's sort of a little bit downtrodden, and so overall, my broad aspiration is for it to be a little bit more polished up, and maybe not quite in the same vein as Irwin, but something a little bit nicer than what it currently is, with a bit more definition around the borders would be really nice.
You know, Lauren, this brings up something that I probably should have mentioned earlier. You know, in Waveney, you've got whole groups that are looking after it. There's the, you know, we know in the beginning, there's the beautification group and there's a garden club. Should we try to get some of those people involved? Because they are involved in almost every other one.
Maybe early days of that, but.
Yeah, and maybe you're, okay. But if anyone has a contact in any one of those groups, please feel free to let them know what we're doing, and I guess I'll try to do that myself. And then we'll get them here. Okay, Margaret.
I'll communicate my aspirations in writing, but as we think about them, are there any restrictions or covenants that anyone's aware of? For instance, if you couldn't do something past dark in the park, it would be interesting to know that as we think through what aspirations.
I'm not aware of them, but I'm not positive. We should read the. You should really read it.
And there could be a general covenant for like all parks. As I know, like in Waveney, John speaking, the dusk schools are supposed to close down.
Right.
When there's an event in the house.
And
Just allow
Yeah, so I guess if that becomes clear, before the next meeting, and it's simple, and you can communicate it to the group, it might be helpful to know that before we put together a plan that's not feasible.
Yeah, and that's one reason we want to get a hold of these agreements to see what covenants and controls we're under. Okay, Lisa.
So I'll also put my opinions in writing about the aspirations, but I would say as a neighbor and also as this community garden project that I have interest in, I mean, I really see that it has a lot of potential, that there's a lot of unused space there that could be used, but for me, I really envision it as like this opportunity for a multi-generational gathering space to kind of incorporate the different components of town that are so beautiful. You know, you have this pollinator pathways, all of those pieces, just spaces where people can come and sit and be. And perhaps have some activities like the basketball courts, the playground, but not, not just for kids, not just for basketball, but really for everyone in the community. I think it could keep it a quiet, nice place, but just really beautify it. And I just see as there's a lot of opportunity.
I totally agree. Do you want to give us a little update on where the community garden proposal is these days?
Sure. So John knows is smiling at me. We kind of hit a little bit of a roadblock where we did initial soil testing that came back great, but the town had requested that we do additional soil testing that was quite expensive. That happened at the same moment as the budget line items were saying that they weren't going to be approved for this year. So we had to make a decision of, do we as a volunteer group trying to do this want to spend $600 on a soil test for something that maybe won't come together? So John and I had a conversation about it, and we realized that it maybe made more sense to, instead of investing the dollars and fundraising for dollars, to put a garden there that would have to be taken down when the master plan goes in place, to just wait and do it as part of this bigger piece. So there's no agreement, anything formal, but I will say, we do have a group of about 20 people who are super excited and have volunteered their time to be a part of it, some of which are on the beautification committee and the garden club, so I can connect you to them. But just to know that there's a lot of support from it, community support, to have it as part of the plan.
Where were you hoping to soil test? What area of the park are you looking at for the garden?
Actually right behind the community preschool, that kind of grassy area that's just adjacent between the pavilion and the community preschool.
Yeah, Lisa, I was gonna ask the same question, because when I go in there with my dog, and I circle around past where the amphitheater is and where basketball court is, so put it around that way. There is a big area that's surrounded by the river, and then there's like a pond that's probably on some private individual property back there. But I thought that might be another area to put a garden if there were a problem with the soil in the other part of the park. But I don't know if that would step on the YMCA's toes, so I'm not necessarily proposing that, but just look at me if there was enough space there to put in a community garden.
There is, so we're very smart because we had that discussion, through the Y and YK camp's use of it, you cannot have adults who are not part of the camp on that property. So to have a community garden that's really active in the summer, and then no one can go there except after 5 o'clock, just to limit the space. But if we're kind of redoing the whole thing, why it has to be a different place or some, not like either different part of the park or whatever. You know, we could be open to it, we picked that spot because personally, just as a neighbor, I've never seen anyone use that spot other than for parking during the exchange. And secondly, it has great south facing sun, so just for a garden, it's a nice spot.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's the ideal spot, but it's always nice to know that there might be a permit.
Right, and just so you know, the camping restrictions are state licensing restrictions. With respect to, you know, there have to be background checks for all adults who are working with the campers and within the realm of where the campers are. So that's why the restriction is in place. It's not a YMCA.
Sorry, the sound isn't that great on Zoom, but could you just slowly say the spot you're looking at? Is it where the Christmas tree sale lot is?
Yes, correct. So just beyond the grassy part that's just next to the paved area where the Christmas trees sit.
So is it in front of the Mary B cabin then, or the strip?
Just right behind, I'm trying to think, facing south.
The north end of that grass strip, so closest to Old
To the
North
nursery.
Road.
The nursery school,
Wood line,
towards the nursery school.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and there isn't septic under that, septic lines and fields?
That far up.
Okay, good. That's what I was wondering, because when I,
The septic is underneath that parking area, but not where we were looking at the community garden.
because you're closer to the nursery school then, and that's already the end of the septic field.
So the septic field does not go up to where the community gardens where we're looking at putting that.
Right, and I'm saying you're looking at like basically the woods, right in front of the woods before you go to the nursery school. Sorry,
Correct.
yeah, thank you. The sound is horrible on Zoom today, so hopefully we can improve that next week. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're a Zoomer, do you have any other comments you want to make before we move to the next Zoomer? No.
Oh, I appreciate it. I kind of heard you say you were going to survey the park, have a surveyor out here and do the property lines.
Yeah, we have that, but what Keith Simpson does is far more interesting.
Okay, because where my property is, number 53, I back up to the where the Girl Scouts have their fire pit, and I guess maybe the Kiwanis, the YMCA campers also use the little wood stairs. I'm in the corner. It's the main cabin that the YMCA uses for their gear, over near the Kiwanis Park sign side of the pond. So that's where I back up to, and I think you know, when they use the fire and all, it's cool. You know, they have the Indian Princess sleepovers, or they used to. I just want to make sure that the property line is delineated there, because I'm pretty confident that when I had this survey 20 years ago, that's up a little closer to my house than it should be. That's it. I don't want a fire.
Good, so I'm hearing that, you know, doing a downtown survey will be part of this, and maybe leaving markers up so people can actually see what the boundary lines are. Okay, Jordan, did you have anything? Okay, not hearing. And then who's the gentleman on the bottom left here?
Scott
Scott.
Yeah, hi. I was actually just curious. I know I think it's interesting to hear about a master plan and what people's aspirations are. Has there been any outreach to the overall New Caney community, trying to gain any feedback on what people think may be missing in town?
Well, again, realize this is the first meeting of people with the most interest. These are all going to be public meetings. This is going to be minuted. That's going to be public. If I know Michael Deno, he'll get something in the newspaper about it. So I think that, you know, we're looking for input from the town. So everything is public. We're completely transparent. And I think you can tell by the number of people here that we really I've done as much outreach as I had the time to do before this meeting.
No, I think it's great, and I appreciate the meeting and what the subcommittee is trying to do. So I was just curious if there is town feedback, because I think it would be great to really make something great out of Kiwanis.
Yeah, and again, you realize this subcommittee is the first step. Then it goes to the Park and Recs Commission, and the Park and Rec Department, and then it has to go to the Board of Selectmen, and eventually we have any money that needs to be spent, and there always will be, there will be Board of Finance. So there'll be a lot of public involvement. All right,
Great,
so,
thank you.
okay, let's go over to Bill over there.
Hello, thank you all for your input. I'm really looking forward to working together and excited about it. I think it's a wonderful park, underutilized clearly. I mean, I don't know it as well as all of you do, but I look forward to getting into this process and coming up with a master plan that we'd all be proud of.
Real great, thank you, Angela.
My interest really in the committee is to be sure that the needs of property owners that surround the park, their issues are in the park, identified and covers the best that can be done, considering what, we decided to do this next plan. Because, in the past several years, lots of ideas come up and the homeowners are the last to know, and I just want to make sure that they are completely informed.
Well, we're gonna try to make sure, maybe not that you're the first to know, but that you're simultaneously the first to know with everyone else here. All right, Kathy.
Well, I'm happy that you are addressing Kiwanis Park at home last, because it needs a facelift, big time. That needs to be promoted properly and get the word out, because it's a great little park. Go over, like, whatever, if it's hot at home, if you're outside with this, the breeze is beautiful under by the pavilion there, really. I was surprised, sometimes you have to wear, at least I have to wear a sweater.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're at least addressing this, and I hope that that you take people's words seriously for, like fixing a water fountain, and it doesn't take all summer for the water fountain to be fixed, that it gets done. So I have to leave.
Well, thank you, Jackie.
Bert and I use the trails several times each week. We walk the town whenever we can, and walking through Kiwanis is much more pleasant than walking on Old Norwalk Road, even on the sidewalk part of Old Norwalk Road, and much safer. I've been here 61 years, and 2 people, at least pedestrians, have been killed on walking on Old Norwalk Road. Now we have a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Anyway, the trails, wow, birds, trees, wonderful. We hope that they are maintained, and they are well maintained. Now, we enjoy those. The noises, the Girl Scout noises, are happy noises in the summer, and we enjoy that, and we love the Christmas tree sale. And right at Thanksgiving, and we go there every year, someone says, I'll help you put your tree on your car. No, we don't put it on the car, we walk home with it.
Yeah. Okay, in fact, I wanted to say, because my little thing, one of the, so I went like those trails, which have been improved amazingly, I think, over the past few years. But I've always thought, it ends when you come to the amphitheater. Why not take it around the amphitheater, around behind the little YMCA cabin that's back there? So you're behind where the basketball court is alongside that border, and the circle around and come up behind where that house is. So you'd be a pretty walk along the river there and come up kind of behind or to the very B, and then maybe cut over to the driveway, or maybe still just stay behind there until you get to where you reach where the property kind of cuts in, and then take it to the back. So just as a guy who loves trail, I would love to see that, but I realize there may be neighbors who wouldn't like that idea. But that is the one that I guess the one thing that occurred to me ahead of these meetings, I'd like to see. Betty,
Yeah, as you folks know, I've been going to these meetings since the 1990s of talking about. And as things come up, I usually voice to the Park and Rec Commission over time. And what's happening improvements either to have organization R1 or how improvements happen to the ones and that includes future roads and oh my gosh, ADA compliant families and so on and so forth. So over time, I have seen improvements in Kiwanis Park. I echo what Kathy said. I think regularly having brush removal or more brush removal, when limbs fall down, we're gonna usually take it ourselves to the transfer station and clean up that way. But I would like more detailed cleanup in Kiwanis to make it attractive. The restroom, snack bar, that whole thing has to be clean in the inside. It just looks very dark when you go into the restrooms there. You know, and one concern I have is I really like the snack bar open for somebody, because time and again, people say there's nothing. You know, no water, no nothing in Kiwanis Park, and people leave early because the kids want something to eat, so they leave. Whereas if there was something there, they would stay longer, and it would be an attraction to people elsewhere to come to that park. Finally, if there's anything going on in the park, I think the budding neighbors should know about it, and we shouldn't find out about it at park and rec meetings. And then it's approved, then we really don't have what to say.
agree.
Thank you.
And certainly about the refreshments, but you know, I've had a proposal on it for a couple of years. But we've tried to get that, if someone do it happen, we can show you.
Yeah.
And it hasn't, we haven't been able to work that, but we have another alternative most. Pete, you get the last words.
Good, thank you. I appreciate all the input too. Yeah, I have a number of things that were mentioned, but as to what I would love to hear feedback about, or Bill and I will be observing. One is we'd really like to know early on if there's anything which everybody wants removed and is now there, and they say, gosh, this has been around forever, never. First thing we want is to have that go. I don't want to work around something which everybody else has already decided they want to move. So if you let me know what you want next to. Second thing is, the thing we will always look for the absolute best trees in any park, any place. We see trees, you know, if you don't pay attention, they grow into each other, and you get 10 trees which are no good. Sometimes you get one tree which is an absolute prize in there. We pull out 4 or 5 trees around it, and you get. We will be looking for that kind of thing, but you know, by all means, please do that too. The second thing is for anything like a vegetable garden, we'll be recommending that whatever soil is used in there comes in from outside. You know, we've been through the nature center experience, but I mean, I know personally with my own vegetable garden, you know, Connecticut soil is not that great. So we're expecting to create beds and then, you know, bring in the soil, which is absolutely optimum, you know, pH and all that.
Yes, we can get some of the town and the topsoil.
Yeah,
Black hole.
The other thing I've really got to watch out for is that this is in a flooding zone. And I know if anybody knows what goes on in the bay, does, but you have to be aware of that. We're not going to be putting stuff in which is going to get taken out by a major flood. And we know that the storm will be getting more and more intense, so we're getting worse floods. So we're going to be watching out for flooding. I also don't want to septic areas. You know, if anybody feels that they desperately need or want or deserve screening, you know, you should speak up and say that, because otherwise we'll assume you want. Some people say, I want to be able to get to the park. Some people say, I don't want to see the park. Maybe you don't want to see the parking lot. Maybe you do want, maybe whatever you want. But if you want screening, let us know. The same thing about fencing. If somebody feels it needs to be fenced, but on the other hand, I don't want to fence Peter out from being able to get into the trail that he wants to walk, you know, to town. So if we need, let me know where, you know, access, egress, fencing, whatever delineation, but But also, I don't want people in the park thinking they can wander everywhere, and then the next thing they show up in your backyard. So we need to, we've had that challenge on other properties, so we may just need some definite, sometimes it can just be signage in the woods that says this is the edge of the park. But otherwise, the park leads off into the neighbor's park. I'm almost finished. Trails, you were talking about, Keith, I couldn't agree more. We just need to plan out the best and the greatest routes, because there clearly is potential in there for good trails. And then as far as the building itself, I really leave that to all of you. If there are issues with the building, whether it's the bathroom, or this or that.
The pavilion you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I was gonna say, we ought to do an inventory of this. When I went by, there's the pavilion.
Right.
Then there's the building that the Girl Scouts have that says, go, you know, or the YMCA camp. Cabin is over there by the amphitheater.
Right.
And then if you keep coming around, there's 3 different, what I call huts or little structures. There's a house. And then you get to the movie. So I was thinking, why do you have 3, you know, 3, I understand you might need storage, maybe one big shed would make more sense than having 3 separate. And if you go there, you'll see there's 3 separate houses.
3 separate sheds.
You know,
If you want to know why, I could easily tell you why, but I don't know if
Whereas Eagle Scout project is doing the shed.
well,
I think
so,
that's what he told me, and I'm sure he's getting approval, but
That's Shane.
Yeah.
So Shane was gonna make the shed for the community garden.
Oh, is that what was one?
yeah,
Okay.
but everything maybe consolidate
Maybe
3 into
That was
1
not, you gotta talk about
and make it more beautiful, you know, and put it where you want it.
This is a program we really would love to hear.
Yeah. And we want to also learn about, I know what the very bees used for, I know what the YMCA cabin of theirs is for. I'm not too sure, but the house and the 3, I'm sure the 3 storage can be used for storage, but I don't know what's being stored. But we'll find that out during the course of this. I want to thank you all.
Yeah, we don't design the buildings, but if you say you've got a program, you give us a footprint, say, we're gonna need a building that's roughly this by this, you'll put down the footprint, give it the name and all the rest of it and so on, and then you'll find the people to go ahead and work out the inside. The last thing I would say is that I'm a huge scouting enthusiast. Lady Baden Powell, who founded the Girl Scouts of the world, is a personal friend, I have correspondence from, so I'd be happy to come and chat with you every time you want to tell you about Baden Powell. I'm an old Boy Scout, like, I'm a 200% Boy Scout.
Yes.
Okay, John, you want to learn?
No. Very simply, I personally look forward to this. I think it's very important that the community. I was Boy Scout. I was also a Girl Scout, so just so you know. Yes. Before it was popular. My mother was the troop leader. I didn't have a choice.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a motion? Okay, I see it. Second. All in favor?
Peter's item 6, got the recording. Yeah.
Thank you for.
My pleasure.
Yeah.